Hotel cleaners of Reddit, what's your most memorable find left behind by a guest? My friend's family owns a motel. He tells me they once found an auto transmission in the bathtub of the room. 3 empty bottles of wine, about 2 dozen cherry pits scattered all over the floor and under the furniture, and red-colored puke all over the bedspread. There was only one guy staying in the room. Oh, I have 2 good ones. I worked as a hotel cleaner during undergrad. My first day of work, someone left a hatchet on the bathtub. Also, someone completely decorated the room with framed family pictures and left them all there. I think their stay was only 2 days. They set some up on the furniture, but also legit hung some on the walls. Found a human poo in the kettle once. Worst part was it was a celebrity, crappy UK reality show, doing a guest appearance at a local club. Him and his mates filled the room's iPad with dick pics too. Hotel got rid of the iPads shortly after that. On the positive side, some Aussies who left me a 12-pack of beer and $50 as a tip. On the negative side, a room for 2 which had been occupied by 9, and on the get some side, a room checked out for 1 night that the next morning had about 6 or 7 used condoms in the trash can. Not me, but my best friend works in housekeeping at a hotel chain. I've heard some nightmare stories, but there are 2 that really stand out. The first was after a furry convention came through town, and there was an absurd amount of sex toys left behind. It's pretty common to come across them from time to time, but this almost had to be purposeful. The second was a massive unflushable shit. She refused to dispose of it, and left the task to her manager. She described it as inhuman, and the size of a football. It took a spatula and a knife from their kitchen to make it manageable enough to flush. I worked for a hotel that had cabins, so I would be in and out all day in the hot sun. On one of those hot days, I opened the fridge to find an unopened bottle of Dr. Pepper in the freezer part. It was perfectly slushed. It made my day. This was years ago, too. My partner gets apartments ready for the next people renting them out after leases are up. They've found so many BDSM toys, one of which, a flogger, is my cat's favorite toy over all others now, including her very expensive cat toys. Ha ha ha. I do maintenance, but a group of part-time housekeepers that are mentally handicapped working with their job coach go into a suite with adjoining door. There were 3 construction workers staying, 2 and their supervisor, in the one side with the pull-out couch and DVD player. They found a full-size blow-up doll, empty small bottles of lube, used condoms, several beer bottles, and a stack of porn on DVD. Doll was on the pull-out couch and everything else was all over the bed. Some poor kid left his Game Boy. Sex toys were fairly common, but there was one left in the spa tub once. It was bigger than a 20 ounces bottle both in length and girth. ZZZZZ. I worked night shift in a hotel part-time, and I worked 16 24 hours a week for about 2 years. I only had one time that the cops showed unexpected, which was when I picked up a random morning shift. I had no idea they did this, but the hotel shared check-in info with the police. The cops had a warrant for our guest. Apparently it was just a regular thing that the hotel might have a wanted person staying there, and if that happened, the police would wait at the elevator figuring their guy would come for breakfast. Not a great vacation atmosphere, lol. It never happened on my night shift because the cops didn't get there until close to 8 a.m. Not a hotel cleaner, but every time I check into a hotel, I check between the mattress and the box spring. I found business cards for strip clubs, condom wrappers, 4 of them at once, one time, needles and porn, hoping for stashed cash from a bank job, but no luck yet. One time teenagers wanted a glitter bath, so they dumped glitter in the hot tub. Took months to clean. The glitter kept shooting from the jets and we couldn't figure out how to clean it all lol. It just kept coming. This was when we made $3.50/room about 10 years ago. One housekeeper found a half-full bottle of vodka and drained it. If she brought it home, her family would make her share, and she was the only worker in the house. Extended family too. She was about 4'3" and just the wiliest woman ever. She's probably dead now. She had other problems, but damn could she clean. Obligatory. This didn't happen to me but to someone else. I study at a hotel school that operates its own hotel. We have first-year students doing the physical work and second-year students acting as managers, supervisors with instructors above them. Once there was a guy who booked room for a week. He paid for everything in advance, and because this was a simple hotel with no extra amenities etc., he didn't have to leave a credit card. This man had explicitly requested for nobody to enter the room for the duration of his stay as he valued his privacy. No problem. He was always very nice to the students and in general a pleasant gentleman. After he left, they inspected the room for cleaning, and, oh boy, that was a scene. The room was covered in jizz and feces. I'm talking on the ceiling, all over the bed and drapes, in the bathroom. It was everywhere. Unfortunately, he came under false identity. Turns out, he pulled that stunt in other small hotels too. He was never caught. The students who were working that week all got maximum grades for their efforts. Shitty situation through and through. We found a kid, about 4 years old, wandering around in the holodome, naked. He was able to tell us his mom's name, so we brought in the police, opened the door, and there was Mom, passed out on the bed. The room was filled about knee-high in garbage. A huge hole burned in the middle of the carpet, and she was surrounded by a rather large amount of vodka bottles. The police were really cool about it too. Found out the mom had left a husband that was abusing her and the kid. They called in a social worker and found her temporary housing. About 2 weeks later, I was heading home, tired from a long day at work, and wasn't paying attention to my speed. Cops pulled me over for speeding. The cops saw the hotel logo on my jacket and recognized me. He was the one that responded to the mom and kids situation. He said, "Man, you go through some shit at work. I wouldn't want your job. Just slow it down please." And that was that. Not a hotel cleaner myself, but there was a teacher at my high school who was known for talking about her life in class instead of actually teaching. One time she came to my class, and students who'd had her before prompted her to talk about her time working at a hotel in the UK. When she was in her 20s she went to work as a cleaner in the UK, and near the end of her working experience she walked into a room to clean, saw a sign on the door but ignored it since she couldn't understand English and walked in. She saw a man sitting on a chair, dead. She was so shocked and stayed frozen for a minute until the police arrived. She really liked talking about that experience, and I'm sure everyone in school knew about it. Not a cleaner, but I renovate hotels for a living. This one property had us going into rooms to change outlets the minute after the guests checked out, and before the cleaning staff got to it. Most were full of trash but one stood out, perched in all its glory on top of a full trash can was something brown, soft and lumpy, double-bagged and 2 tied-off condoms. I am very confident we witnessed the leftovers of an Alaskan pipeline. Me and my best friend worked housekeeping together when we were 18. I only cleaned rooms for a bit until I got stuck in the laundry part, so I only found some unopened bottles of alcohol and a trash can with a few used condoms. My friend on the other hand had to clean a room with blood on the ceiling, throw up in a trash can, and poop smeared all over the bathroom, in the tub, on the toilet, and even some on the ceiling. No one helped her clean it. I had quit already, except the maintenance man helped her get the poop off the ceiling. She quit a little later that week. Not hotels but have cleaned out housing estates, arguably similar, for refurnishing before. Usually the most left behind are holes that have been punched in the walls but found with carvings of a snake and a lizard ones that I have kept ever since. Also there was a bong made out of a baby bottle but didn't strike me to keep that one. I wasn't the cleaning crew but I've had to travel a lot for work. There was this one place I stayed several times over the years. Twice on the same floor I walked into or out of my room to a covered stretcher coming out of the room directly across the hall from mine. I've accidentally left shirts, some food, an earful bottle of booze, and a plugged-in charging electric shaver over the course of the years, but never a corpse. In one cabin at the mountain resort I managed an expensive bottle of unopened red wine, a pair of brand new socks with weed leaves all over them and a sack of mushrooms, at least 10 grams worth. Housekeeper and I split the mushrooms, drank the wine and she kept the socks. Overall, a good day for us both. The employees of the MGM in Las Vegas were tasked with going to the rooms of guests who died in the fire in 1980 to collect their belongings for their families to claim. They found at least twice as much cocaine than they reported. I know that my autistic friend took a shit in a hotel room closet and wrapped it up with paper. English isn't my primary language so I'm sorry for all mistakes. Smile. Edit. And this is my first post on Reddit. Edit. Thanks for gold and all the upvotes. I didn't expect that my first comment about shit in hotel will be the best one. This is not quite what you're talking about. But one summer at college our dorms were used as cheap hotel space for conferences, and I was a housekeeper. One day, during a Japanese conference, I serviced a room where someone had brought a really cool pillow. It was shaped like a round firewood log, but softer and like nothing I'd ever felt. I liked it so much that I wrote them a note telling them how much I liked it, and they left me a note saying thank you. I found the pillow a couple of years later at an import shop in the mall and bought it on the spot. Still have it, too. Stayed in a hotel in Austin with my, now ex-wife and 1.5-year-old son. The beds were on a platform, which prevented anything from actually going under the bed. My son was playing with his toys and a car rolled under the duvet, I think, like a bed skirt. Hangs all the way down to the floor, hides the platform. I reached under to grab it and came out with 2 crack meth pipes, one broken with shards everywhere. Walked it down to the desk. Needless to say, we got an upgraded room, and our stay was free. Back in my high school days circa 98-02, I worked housekeeping for a hotel where we had lots of musical guests who played a nearby concert venue. Most the stuff we found was pretty tame, until 1 year after Ozfest, I was sent to clean the suite and rooms that a certain shock rocker was using. What we found has stayed with me for years. There was a lot of bondage items. That in itself wasn't bad. No, the bad part was the blood on the bonds, the walls, sheets, TV. It was just everywhere. There was also coke residue everywhere. Chains with locks surrounded to light. We were torn, wondering should we call the cops. That's how much blood there was. In the end my managers vetoed that idea. Recently that rocker has had some serious accusations made against him. It makes me sick knowing I seen evidence of stuff when I was younger and couldn't do anything. At the time he was very popular and is from the state I live in. I'm not sure the police would have done anything, but it's caused me to lose sleep ever since. Not a cleaner, but my mother used to work in 5+ stars hotel for a brief time where people would often leave stuff they bought and couldn't fit in their luggage. There were bags of brand new clothes with tags on, tourist memorabilia and things as such, but most notable was a huge box of La Mer, Darphin and Jo Malone products, just shy of 1K worth of cosmetics. It was around my birthday so I got to keep it all. Was underwhelmed with famous La Mer face cream. I regret not selling it, but I guess I had to try it because I am sure I would never buy it. Not myself, but a former work friend had taken up a gig cleaning out some rooms in an old building above a bar that ran Airbnb spaces, and she told me that people left cool shit all the time, including unopened booze or beer, and last time she talked to me, was showing me the weed vape pen which was left behind. She was so impressed that someone would leave that behind. R.I.P. Lisa Vlog 3. I worked on reception, so this is something someone missed, but I got a call from a couple who had just checked and saying they had found something. I went to the room and they were both stood by the drawer of their bedside table. One had their hand over their mouth in shock, the other one was absolutely pissing themselves with laughter. "Come have a look at this," they said. I go over and lined up in the drawer was a bubblegum pink dildo, a vibrator, a pack of AA batteries and some wet wipes. After apologizing profusely, I came back with some rubber gloves and a bin bag. Instead of taking them straight to the bin, I spoke to a chef and asked guess what I found. They then joined a small collection, curated by that particular chef, of sex toys found in hotel rooms. Nobody ever really questioned him on it, because there was always a very real risk he'd give an answer. Not a cleaner but a guest. 30 years ago I flew into Miami from Los Angeles to propose to my sweetheart after what was a couple of years of pre-internet correspondence and hundreds of dollars in long-distance phone bills. We went to school together and I was working in TV production for a Spanish TV network with a great job and was ready to bring her along to help her get ahead and to be my companion in my new life. We both were children of poverty and public housing. She and I were destined to be together. I wanted to surprise her, so I drove to her house. Her mom told me she was at work. I bought flowers and went to her work. Her co-workers told me she was off that day. Called mutual friends that helped track her down. I found her in a seedy motel. I parked and watched as she exited the motel with her new boyfriend, all smiles as my heart just collapsed. I left a message with her mom, pre-internet, remember, and she rushed that night to the hotel to meet me. She knew why I was in town, so she dressed up and looked beautiful. I broke up with her and pretended I hadn't seen her with someone else. She caused a scene and was escorted out of the lobby by hotel security. It didn't feel good. I cried all night. The next morning I left the cleaning lady the engagement ring as a tip. I left her the receipt with a note thanking her. My mom was a cleaning lady in hotels and hospitals before she became a seamstress. I know how hard they work and how badly they are treated. The ring cost me $2K. It was part of a $5K engagement set. Life is good, kids. I promise it gets better. Not a cleaner but hotel manager. We found a room almost empty of all items and fixtures. 4-star hotel. We suspected they broke everything down with tools over a 3-day stay. Just mattress, bathtub, and tiles. Legally, housekeeping doesn't need to enter until the 3rd day. US. I've never laughed so hard in my career. By the way, it's housekeeping, not hotel cleaners. So all these stories about guests leaving a mess behind ... This is for you. They left nothing. This was me. I was the asshole. Last night out in Poland and my hosts decided to take me out for a night of drinking. I learned very quickly I can't hold my alcohol with what they could. I was so smashed that I don't remember going back to the hotel. Luckily the hotel was next to the bar, so no driving. The next morning I wake up and go take a shit only to realize that I threw up all over the bed, the bathroom floor, the bidet, the tub, and partially on the carpet. I tried to clean up the best I could but only made it worse. I left them $300 for the mess as a tip to the house cleaners because I was so embarrassed. This is like 1,100 Polish dollars and about a week worth of salary, I think. Edit. Vodka is a hell of a drug. Surprisingly, not a lot of weird things actually. I'm mostly surprised by the amount of food people are willing to leave behind and go to waste. A lot of people also forget about their booze. I just take it home, lol. Not a cleaner. But my dad was paranoid and always lifted up the mattresses at hotels. I thought it was weird, but one time there was about 10 bloody needles and bloody paper towels under it once. Felt like that fit here lol.